Hi, good evening, good morning, everyone. Let's get started. Day three. So I will start with a recap of the day three, a recap of the previous days, and then we'll continue. Um Bharat, have you started the recording for this session? I could not see that. Very good. Thank you very much. So just to give you a recap of what we did in the previous day, we have seen what are the different benefits of cloud computing. We have looked at the various deployment models like public cloud, private cloud, and okay, is it for everybody the voice? Can you please confirm? So 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 we have seen the AWS deployment model, the AWS service model, and then we have moved to a service called IAM. And in IAM, we have seen how to create IAM users, how to create groups, how to attach permissions, policies to that particular user, and then use those users to access the AWS environment. This is what we have done. Then we started after that, we started with another service, which is called as S3, simple storage service. And we started with different types of storage services, which are available with AWS. And then we moved to the basic difference between an object storage, block storage, and a file storage. Then we have seen the S3 service, and in that we have created a bucket, and we were able to segregate our bucket based upon the need of our user, whether we want to make the object public, whether we want to make the object private. We have seen that by using various methods. One of the method we have seen was to use the ACL. The other way to do that was to use the bucket policy. This is what we have seen till yesterday. And we have after that, we have applied a bucket policy to our S3 bucket, and we were able to segregate the permission on our S3 bucket. So I am just trying to log in into my account, and I will just continue from there. For a minute, trying to log in. 5732. Yeah, here I am. I'm logged into my account, and this is our S3 bucket, which we have seen yesterday, and we have created the two folders for it. Now we will move ahead. This is our folder. This is our bucket, and then we have seen the two folders. We have applied the bucket policies, and then we have tried to access those. Now, let us do one thing today. Again, try to upload a object. Now, add a file. I will take another file and open it. Now, whenever you are trying to upload a file, there are certain properties which you can change when you are doing it. One of the properties which I want to show is the storage class. This is a very, very critical part of using the S3 bucket. What is the storage class? So let us go and look at that. So AWS storage class is nothing but how you are going to store your data in the S3 bucket. The data can be stored based upon the availability, the durability, and the cost factor of the object which is stored in your S3 bucket. Now, what is availability? How you are going to access the object after storing it. Is the object highly available for me? Whether there will be any issue with my object, and so on. So your S3 storage service is highly available storage service. Now, this is why, because whatever the object you are storing in your S3 bucket, it is by default replicated into 3 AZs. How it is done? Let me explain you based upon one diagram. So here is your S3 bucket. And let's say this is your AZs, 1, 2, and 3. So whenever you store any object in S3 bucket, these are the objects you have. whenever you store your object into a S3 bucket, what happens is the data is coming to your bucket here, bucket. This is your bucket. And then it is moved to different AZs. And it is creating a 3 copies of your data. So you will have a copy here. Yeah. This you will have a copy here. And this you will have a copy here. So all for this same thing, I will do it for the this object as well. This is, yeah, and then the third one is also being copied here. So like this, whenever you are copying the object, it is getting copied into 3 availability zone, and that's how you are going to get a very highly available S3 object. So this is how you are going to get a highly available object. Yeah. Then coming to the other part, which is the durability. Now durability is about, yeah, whenever you store your object, will the object will be available for me when I in the future when I need it. So AWS S3 offers you durability in terms of percentage, and the durability which is offered is 99.999, like this 11 nines. Now if you look at the durability for this, that is going to be very huge. That is somewhere, I'll tell you that. Okay, just a minute. I will have that content here. So here it is. So if you look at this, so it is going to give you, let me just view one page. Yeah. So what it is going to do, yeah, if you are storing 10,000 object with S3, then there is a chance that on an average, you will lose one of them every 10 million years with the durability of 99.9119 durability. This is how durable your S3 bucket is. So there's literally very less chance that your object is going to get lost. Now, based upon all these factors, we have different storage tiers. We have different storage tiers, and these are the storage tiers which we are referring to. In all, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 storage tiers. Recently, the last 3 one, the Glacier Instant Retrieval, Glacier Flexible, and Deep Archive, they got changed. This actually, there was a AWS S3 Glacier which was got converted into 2 storage access tier. So what are those things? Now, whenever you store your object in your S3 bucket, they are stored by default as a standard tier object. You can see here, by default, a standard tier object is created. Now, what is the use case of this? This is designed for frequently accessed data, which should be accessed within milliseconds. This is the standard, and standard is the most costliest storage option you will have. Whenever you store the data in your standard storage tiers, you are going to get going to get the copy of this into 3 availability zone. There will be 3 availability zone, and then there will be no minimum storage duration, no minimum billable object, and there will not be any monitoring or retrieval fees. Now this is what is this? We will see that as well. Let me open another link, and I want to show you this page. So this is a page where you will see all the performance characteristic of your S3 storage classes. So you can see the S3, which is the standard, it is designed for, engineered for 11 nines durability. It is going to provide you 99.99 availability, and it is also going to provide you SLA. This is one of the service which is going to provide you the SLA. The data is stored in 3 AZs. Then the other things which I have talked about you is that there is no minimum billable size or minimum billable time. Now, what is that? The minimum storage duration charge is nothing but that as soon as you store your data into S3 bucket, you can retrieve or you can just remove it, and you are going to get the bill for the amount of time you are storing the data. But if you move to other storage tiers, you will see there is a minimum billable duration of 30 days and so on and so on, so on. Just a minute. So if you look at the other storage tiers, which let's look at the S3 intelligent tiering. Now this is also going to give you the same durability, little less availability, and it is going to give you a SLA of 99%. Data is stored in 3 AZs, but there is a, what you can say, a not in this, but there is a minimum billable size in this S3 standard infrequent access, and also 30 days minimum duration. What you are going to get with S3 intelligent tiering is you are going to be charged for some monitoring fees. Now, what is this monitoring fees? This S3 intelligent tier is going to move your data from one access tier to another access tier based upon your usage pattern. So this is also for frequently accessed, but when you don't know the access pattern of your data, in that case, you should move your data to the S3 intelligent tiering. That way, AWS will take care, run a machine learning algorithm on this and move your data into different tiers. Then we move to standard infrequent access. As the name suggests, it is designed to work for any kind of infrequent access data which you are going to keep in your S3 bucket. It is designed to provide you 99.99% availability. Three regions it is going to be copied, but there is a minimum capacity charge for per object, which is 128 KB. What does this means is whenever you store an object in your S3 bucket, if the object is less than 128 KB, you are going to be charged for 128 KB only. So the solution to this is you can zip your files and make a bigger file so that you are going to get charged for just one object rather than hundreds and thousands of objects. Now, as soon as you store the data in your infrequent access, the data is going to be charged for a 30 days of duration. That means whether you remove the data after 1 day, 2 day, or so on, does not matter. It is going to be charged for the 30 days. There is also a per GB retrieval fees, which is applicable whenever you want to retrieve the data from your infrequent access zone. There is a millisecond latency, which is available for this S3 one standard infrequent access tier. Now we will move to another storage tier, which is called S3 one zone infrequent access. As the name suggests, the data is stored in one availability zone. What can be the use case for this? Any data which can be easily reproducible, any data which is not critical, that can be stored into this one zone. An example could be something like this. You have an image sharing website, and in the image sharing website, you want to show the thumbnails of your images in your website. Now, what you can do, you can create a bucket which will be used for thumbnail only, and move that whatever the object into that bucket and use the one zone infrequent access so that you can save on the cost. So this is because the thumbnails are generated from a raw image. There is no criticality to it, and you can easily reproduce that thumbnails even if your thumbnails are gone. So again, there's a 128 KB size is there, 30 days duration is there, a minimum storage duration, and per GB retrieval fees will also applicable. Now we are moving to another storage tier, which is called S3 Glacier Instant Retrieval. Now the S3 Glacier is a storage tier which is generally used for archival needs. When you want to store your data for a longer period of time, for a period of 1 year, 2 year, 3 years and more, then you should go for a S3 Glacier. Earlier, the S3 instant retrieval and S3 Glacier flexible retrieval were the same. They were divided into two classes now. The The catch with this S3 Glacier is whenever you store your data, this data is not available for you to access immediately. You have to first retrieve into this 4 tiers, and then only you will be able to see that online, the data online. Otherwise, you will not be able to see the data in the your S3 bucket. Hmm. With your this, you can say, yes, you can see flexible retrieval. It is going to be used for long live archive data, which can be accessed once in a year with sorry, this is long live archive data accessed once a quarter with the instant retrieval in millisecond. So now this is very, very critical whenever you want to work with your Glacier. How it is critical? Because your data is not visible to you directly, you need to retrieve it and then use it. And that's the reason it is saying that the retrieval is in milliseconds. Hmm? Then your flexible retrieval, which is going to be accessed once a year with a retrieval time of minutes to hours. That means if you can wait for some minutes or hours to get your data retrieved, then that can be the right choice for this. And when you need to store your data for a longer period of time, this is the right choice. In this, both you have to have a minimum storage duration of 90 days. That is the minimum storage duration. Once you are storing your data into that, you are going to have a minimum 90 days. In both of the tier, there is also a minimum billable size. So you can see for the instant retrieval, it is 128 KB, and for the Glacier flexible retrieval, it is 40 KB. So whenever you have a small object, zip it and put it into the Glacier. And the last one, which is the last, or I would say the last in terms of the usage, the last one is the S3 Glacier Deep Archive. This is the most cheapest kind of a storage tier you will have in S3, and it is going to provide you a durability of 11 nines, availability of 99.99, but the minimum duration for this storage tier is 180 days. Yeah, that is a huge amount of uh, duration you have to keep the data if you want to use this. Again, this is very, very cheap as compared to your S3 standard. In S3, if you are going to save 1 TB of data, you are going to get $23 per month. So you can imagine how much cheap it is. So these are the different storage tiers, and these are going to be used based upon your usage pattern, your way of doing things. And then whatever the application need you are going to have. The last one, which is the reduced redundancy, this is the storage tier which was used earlier and it is depreciated. AWS recommend not to use it, as this is this is as compared to this, the S3 is more cost effective. But still there are certain customers of AWS which are using it, and that's the reason AWS has not phased out this reduced redundancy storage, RRS. So this is about the storage access tiers. Now we are going to move to, so if I want to show you in the console, here is my console, and I can just select this kind of a storage tiers whenever I want to upload the data, like this, and I will say simply upload it, simply upload it. That's how you can do it. That's it. So this is about the storage access tier, and it is very, very critical whenever you want to work with your S3 bucket. This is not going to make any difference if you have 10 files, 100 files, or thousands files. But this is going to make a huge impact when you have lakhs and 10 lakhs and crores of files in your S3 bucket. And this is how you can get benefit from the storage tiers. If you are appearing for any AWS exam, which is a solution architect associate, there will be a lot of questions on this particular S3 storage tiers. Fine. Let's move next. Now we are going to see at various properties of your S3 bucket. Now, what are those various properties? They are called as versioning, server's access log, S3 event notification, lifecycle management policy, cross-region replication or simply replication, It can be in region, it can be across the region as well. And then we will end the S3 chapter by using the static website hosting. Hmm. So this is what we are going to see it. Hmm. So here it is. So let us look at versioning. Now, what is versioning? Versioning, as the name suggests, it is kind of creating a different version of your objects or file. Whenever I want to use a versioning, this versioning needs to be applied or activated at the bucket level. Hmm. What happens once you create a versioning is, for the same object, you can create multiple files or object which will have different timestamp, and it will also have something called as version ID associated with it. The version ID of every object will be unique. Hmm. What the use case of versioning is, it will help you to protect from any kind of accidental updates or deletion of the object. Suppose somebody has deleted one object, and if you have a versioning enabled, then you can recover that object and avert any kind of a mishap. Hmm. So one more thing very important is, once you enable a versioning, there is no option to disable the versioning. You can suspend it, but you cannot disable it. How the versioning is visible in your S3 bucket? There is a toggle button which will show whether you are looking at the version to object or non-version object. We will see that. Hmm. Let us go and create this feature. Now this is my bucket, and where do I see the property? Here is the properties. And if you go into this, you will see the bucket versioning. Let us go and enable the bucket versioning. Now observe something here. If I go to this objects here, there is no toggle button at this moment. But as soon as I enable the versioning, there will be a toggle button which will help us to move between a version and a non-version object. Let us go here and edit it. And I am just going to say enable versioning. Hmm. And save changes. As soon as I do that and go to the objects page, here you can see there's an option to show version. Now, if I just do like this, it will show me the version of the object. Remember one thing, whatever the object which you have uploaded before the versioning is applied, that is going to have a null ID. Yeah, remember this, it is going to have a null ID. So let us go and do one thing. Let us upload some file in this bucket. Upload and add a file. I'm going to add a file number. Yeah, very good. Okay, so I have uploaded a file which is having a file1.txt, and I will simply upload it. It is having 41 bytes of data in it, and I'm going to upload it. Okay, so as soon as I upload this file, and I just do a toggle button here, you will see a unique version ID for this object. Now let us go and open this file and see what is the content of this. Okay, so you can see there is a content like this. This is example of versioning version 2. So I will change the file. I will change it just version 1, and let me do that. Here is my file. I will make it version 1 actually right now and save it. And I'm going to upload the same file again. You can see at this moment that it is written as, this is example of versioning. Okay, and then version 2 is there. But yeah, so let me just go and upload a file again, the same file. Add file. I go to file and open it and upload it. Okay, as soon as I upload, you can see the file is being uploaded. And if I just do a toggle button here, you can see there are two versioned objects. Both will have a unique version ID. Now, remember one thing, whenever you upload an object, the latest version will be visible to you when you are not using the toggle button. The toggle button is off. If I just open it, it is going to show me the version 1, which is what I have just uploaded. If I go and toggle that button and try to open the first file, let us go and do that. it is going to show me the version file too. Let us go and upload another file. Now this time I am going to make it as version 3. Save it. Yes. And done. And let me upload the file. Add file. And this is my file. And upload. So as soon as I upload, now again the latest file is being visible there. And if I open it, it is going to show that this is the example of versioning and it is version 3. So that's it. Okay, this is how you can look at the version. Now, I told you that with versioning, you can also accidentally, if you delete your file accidentally, then you can retrieve it. So how do you retrieve it? Suppose I am just deleting this file. Simply go and delete this file. And I will say delete. And it will delete the object. So once this is done, my object is gone. If I go here, I cannot see my object. Yes. So how do I retrieve my object? I can do something like this, show version. As soon as I do the show version, you can see there is something called as file1.txt and it has a type as delete marker. And it also have some version ID. The file which we have deleted, it's still there. If I just open the version 3 file, it is still there. So how do I recover it? Now, whenever you delete a file, there is one flag which is added to that file, which is called as delete marker. Now, this delete marker flag will help you to recover your file. If I just go and delete the delete marker, then my file will be restored. So let me just go and restore. Before that, I just want to show you the view. I cannot see my file 1. Let me show with the toggle button. I can see a file with the delete marker and the other version file. Let me delete this delete marker. Delete. And if you notice, it is telling me, do you want to permanently delete it? Yes, I will say, yes, I want to delete it. And here it is. If I just delete it, and if I toggle this button, my file reappeared again. Yeah, so that's it. This is how you can do versioning. You can recover your file and use it. But there's another catch to it. If you do the show version and then try to delete your file, it is going to be permanently deleted. So remember, whenever your toggle button is off, then if you delete it, you will be able to recover that file. As a general user, people will not have the option to look at the versions, or maybe you will not give them the access to recover a file or something. But this is how it can be done. Let me show you how do I just delete the file permanently. I just go and delete and I type in the delete permanently and delete it. Now my file has gone. I cannot see the earlier file. I can see this file, but not the earlier one. Yeah, this is the earlier one. But my file number 3 is gone. The file with the version number 3 has gone. Just open it. It is going to show me version 2. Yes, that's how the versioning will. So very important versioning. Yeah, and very important topic. Yeah. So give me a couple of minutes. I will be back in after grabbing a water. Just give me 2 minutes. Sorry, yeah, I'm back now. Hmm. Okay, so we were just looking at the versioning. Now let us go on to another feature, hmm, that is called as server access log. Now, whatever we are doing on our S3 bucket, this is going to be tracked somewhere. Yeah, and this can be tracked by two services in the AWS. One is called as CloudWatch, and another is called as CloudTrail. Okay, so we will see that services later on. But to explain you why we are talking about server access log. So whenever you do anything in your S3 bucket, you need to get a log for activities which are happening at the object level. The other services which I just explained, or I just talked about, the CloudTrail and CloudWatch, they are not going to give you the logs at the object level. Okay, so if you need to get logs for your environment at the object level for your S3 bucket, then you need to enable server access log. Yeah, when you enable the server access log, it will capture all the activities which are happening at the object level. So this logging is generally used for the security, auditing, and compliance purpose. Who has changed a file, who has updated, who has deleted, all those things, yeah, can be tracked by using this server access log. Now, this server access log can be captured into the same bucket for which we want to access the log, or it can be captured into another bucket, which can be maybe a centralized bucket or a separate bucket to store the log. Hmm? As best practice, I would recommend to use another bucket to store the log. Why that is, I will try to explain you. Whatever the activity which are happening in your AWS account, they are all getting logged as an event or the hmm, as a kind of a activity in your bucket. Suppose this is your bucket and these are your object. So whenever you store your object, this is getting logged into another, let's say, a folder within the same bucket, and it is going to get logged into this. Here, a log will be created. Now, because the server access login is enabled on your complete bucket, this is bucket, whatever the activity which you are doing of writing the logs into this folder, uh, that is also activity. By doing so, it is creating a continuous loop. It is creating a continuous loop of the things. So as soon as you write log, that is also going to generate an event, and that is also going to write a log for it. Because of this, a loop is getting created. And because of this loop, the size of your uh, the size of your S3 bucket is going to increase. The size of your S3 bucket uh, is going to increase. So as a best practice, you should always go for another bucket to store the logs into this. So for this, the logs will be here, the logs will be here, the logs will be here. And on this bucket, you will not have a server access log enabled. So this becomes your source bucket, and this becomes your destination bucket for the logs. So now, whenever you use this, the S3 server access logging, the logs are populated into your S3 bucket after certain period. It is not immediately as soon as you do it. It is going to take almost 1 hour to start pushing the logs into your bucket. So let us go and enable server access log. Now, just want to give you a warning. If you enable server access log and you keep that running for a longer period of time, you might incur some kind of a bill for it. So if you are trying to do the practice along with me, just disable the server access log after 2 hours. Yeah, within the 2 hours, you will be able to see the logs in your destination bucket. So let us go and create another bucket for the logs. Here is my bucket name, and I'm going to create another new bucket. Here is my new bucket, and I'm going to give a name as logs. And here it is, ACL not needed to enable. I can keep it as it is, and I will just simply create the bucket. Simple. Okay, now what I will do, I will go to my source bucket, which is this one, and I go to the property here, and I go into the property, scroll down, and here is the server access login. I go and edit here and enable it. Once I enable it, it is saying what is the target bucket where you want to save the logs. So I can just give my other bucket. If I just browse it, here is my another bucket, choose the path and simply save the changes. Now, once I do this, the server access logs is going to be enabled on my bucket. So it is very, very simple. Now it is showing enabled. And once we look at this after a period of 1 hour or maybe more, you will see that logs will be shown into this bucket here. We'll see that in some time. This is the server access logs for you. So once you create this server access log and you enable it, you will only have the access to that logs. Nobody else will have the access to that log, and nobody will be able to edit, delete that file which is there. And this is what you need as a compliance. Any logs, any system related logs, you should not, nobody should be able to tamper with that log. So that is the extra security on top of your server access login. Okay. So we'll wait for one hour and then we'll go back to that bucket and see the logs there. Then we move to another property of your S3 bucket. This is called as S3 event notification. Now, what is S3 event notification? Whenever whenever you are trying to do anything in your S3 bucket, suppose an object is uploaded, a file is uploaded, you want to take certain actions on that particular file, and you want to do some processing on that file. So if you want to do that automatically, then S3 event notification is the feature you should use. As soon as your object uploaded, deleted, yeah, added, everything can be logged by using the S3 event notification. So S3 event notification, whenever you enable, it is going to generate at least one event once your object is put into your S3 bucket. Generally, this event notification are delivered within the seconds, but you can at times take longer period or in minutes or maybe some more time. But generally it happens immediately in seconds, but it can take minutes. Based upon this S3 event notification, you can also generate some kind of a notification for a user to tell that whether my file is processed or not processed. So let us go and see that in the console. I go to my bucket again, and in the properties, I will look at the S3 event notification. Here is the event notification. Now for this, I can just go and create it. We are not going to create it because this is not part of the free tier, and that's the reason. So you can see, I can give any name here. I can give an event notification for a particular folder that is also that generate notification only when particular things uploaded, added, removed from the particular folder. I can also do that by using a suffix of my file. Do it only for a JPG file, do it only for a Word file, and so on. And these are the various events we can capture. So any create events, object removal, object restored, any ACL changes, any object tagging, and any replication event. All those things can be tracked. And this event notification can send to 3 destinations. 3 destinations are what? AWS Lambda function, SNS topic, and SQS. Now, Lambda function is a compute function. We will see that later. But this is a function or a service which will run a code in event of a trigger from any services. So it will run only when it is triggered. Otherwise, it will be sitting idle. So for example, if I have a code to create a thumbnail of a file as soon as it is uploaded on my S3 bucket, I can use the event notification, trigger a Lambda function. In the Lambda function, I write a code to create a thumbnail from my raw image and put it into another bucket. That can be written into your Lambda function, and automatically this is completed. Suppose you also want to notify somebody. This can be done by using the SNS topic. SNS topic is nothing but a simple notification service. You can either send a SMS, email, or a phone call as well by using this notification service. Then we also have something called as SQS, which is called as simple queuing service. This is a message queue offering from AWS. So all these three destinations can be used. For this to work, you need to have a role for that. For if I want to use my this event notification and to work with Lambda, I need to have a role for that. Okay, that is how it is going to work. So we are not going to configure it, but this is how you can do it. Anything related to object creation, removal, restore, and all can be done by using the event notification. Let us move to another property, lifecycle management. Now this is another very important feature of S3 and very widely used by people who are having huge amount of data in their S3 bucket. Now imagine a scenario where you have thousands, lakhs, and crores of file in your S3 bucket. Example, you have a banking customer who's using S3 bucket to store the data of his customer. He has a data of his customer for the KYC. Okay, so whenever you do a KYC, yeah, you need that detailed document for a certain period of time. Maybe for 1 month, 2 months. And after that, you will not need it for next 10 months. And after 10 months, you are going to ask for another KYC. So that means after 12 months, this KYC is becoming invalid and you no longer need it. So how do I delete these files? Or how do I move this file from one access tier to another access tier? This can be done by using something called as lifecycle policy. So lifecycle policy, what it does, it enables you to transition an object from one storage tier to another storage tiers and also automatically delete the storage class, delete the storage object. So this can be achieved by just writing a lifecycle rule. You have to write the rule and use it. So very simple. Why lifecycle? For doing auto cleaning, having a better cost efficient management of your objects in S3 bucket, and also for any kind of a archival of data to the glacier or deep glacier. So this is the lifecycle management rule. It is heavily used by people who have huge amount of data in this. This will help you to govern your storage cost. So let us go and create a lifecycle rule for us. How do you do that? We have to go into something, the management tab, not into the property. We have to go to the management tab, and here you can see lifecycle rule. So I will say create lifecycle rule. I have to give a name, my life rule, and then dr. Let's say this is the dr. Now I can choose this rule should apply to complete objects which are there in my bucket, or it can be to a limited objects. This can be based upon the folder and so on. So for the simplicity of this, I'm going to keep it for the all objects. So I have to acknowledge it. And this is where we have to apply the lifecycle rule. You can see here, move current version of object between storage class, move non-current version of the object between storage class, expire current version of object, permanently delete non-current version of the object, and delete expired object, delete marker, or incomplete multi-part upload. These are the 5 options. We have to use one. Yeah, we can use one of them or we can use all of them as well. Let us go and transition the current object. As you can see, as soon as I selected current version of object between storage class, it understood that my object is in standard storage class, and that's the reason it has not given me option of standard. So I can move my standard standard tier storage class object into let's say one zone. Let me move to one zone after how many days? 30 days. Now, after 30 days, I want to add another transition. Now you can see the other tiers are grayed out. That means you can go one way only. You can move from the higher tiers to the lower tiers. You cannot go the other way around. So what I will do, after that, I will just move that object to the deep archive glacier. Now, if you look at this, if I put 90 days, okay, or if I put 15 days for that matter, what it says, the integer value for deep archive glacier must be at least 30 more than the value of one zone. Why? Because when you store your data into one zone in frequent access, there is a minimum duration of 30 days you have to keep. So how much I have to keep here? I can let me add one more layer to it so that you should understand them in the better. Hmm? So I will say after 40 days, move to the glacier flexible retrieval. Then I will add another transition. Now I will move to the deep archive. Now if I put something, some value like this, yeah, okay, like say 60. Now what it is saying, the integer value for glacier deep archive must be at least 90 days more than the value of the glacier. That means again it is taking the minimum duration of the glacier retrieval, which is the 90 days. So I will put at 120 days. Done. So yeah, so it is saying very good. So you have to add it and add more, which is will be 190 days. Why it is? We have to add this 30, 40, and then 90. So it will be plus almost more than 160. If I do a 55 here, it is working. If I do yeah, 50 here, it is working. So at least 90 days more than that. So I will give 150 days here and move it. Huh? Now it is saying move. This is the error I'm getting. So I will make it 60 here, which is 30 days more than this. Hmm? And here it is 90 almost. If I do 45, yes, it is going to give me that error. Absolutely. Hmm? So I will make it 160 days here so that I don't get a. And it is giving me a warning that you should transition small object to this like please be aware that this transition small object will incur the cost. Hmm? So it is better you zip it and then move it. So you can see on the day 0 my object is uploaded. On 38th day it moved to the one zone. On 16th day it moved to the glacier, and on 168th day after this it moves to deep archive. So this is for the current version of object. Now, if I want to do it for the non-current object, same thing applies. As soon as I select it, I get a tab for a non-current. So I will say, yeah, move my data into directly instant retrieval after 90 days. Yeah, and there's an option of how many newer version to retain. Suppose I have 5 versions. Hmm? So if I want to retain the latest 3 versions, then I can put a value here. Hmm? This is the number of version I can retain. So I will say 2. Yeah. And after that, I will say move it to deep archive. And I will put it like this 90 plus 90, which is 180. And I will say yes, 2 objects. That's it. I So I have done it for current object as well as non-current object. And then let's do one more thing. Yeah. Let us expire the current object as well. So I have selected this. So if I, yeah, so once I select that, I get this expire current version of object. So it is asking me how many days do I need. So I will put something which is more than this. So I will say after 365 days, delete my objects. That's it. And same goes for the non. Hmm, If I say after 365 days, do the same thing. That's it. I will create it. I have to acknowledge all the things. Yeah, let me see whether I have acknowledged it. Yes, I have acknowledged it, and I will create the rule. This is how you are going to create your lifecycle rule. Now, with this UI, you will not see the immediately. Yeah, okay, it is here. It should be very, very immediately. And this is how you are going to see this. So very, very useful for managing your object classes, tiers in your AWS S3. Let us go and look at another feature, which is called as replication or cross-region replication or same region replication. Now, uh, I have already told you that whenever I store an object in my S3, I am storing that in 3 AZs minimum. Hmm? Then why there is a need of storing the data again? So this can be done for some specific purposes. Suppose you have your application, or if you have the app hosted across the globe, and you need the same data to be available in some other region. Suppose I have in some application hosted in Mumbai and I'm using a bucket in Mumbai. When I want to use the same data in US, what I will do, I will create a app server in the US, and yeah, I will also create a bucket there which will have the same data. If I want to copy the data from this bucket to another bucket which is in the other region, then I have to use the replication feature, which is called as cross region replication and same region replication. So this is the use case for your CRR and SRR. What it does, it enables you to automatically and asynchronously copy the data from one bucket into another bucket. It can be within the region, it can be outside of the region, it can be in your account, or it can be in any other account. Hmm? This, whatever the feature we are going to use for the replication, is going to be applicable, yeah, on the source bucket. And there will be only one destination bucket. So there cannot be multiple destination bucket. So it's a one-to-one relationship. You can also specify any kind of a folder which is called as prefix to do the replication as well. What happens is the S3, yeah, S3 can replicate all the object with a particular specific folder name to the destination bucket. Whenever you are doing the CRR or the SRR, you can also have an option to change the storage class once the data is stored into that particular destination bucket. That is also possible when you are doing it. One more thing I want to show you. There is certain prerequisite which needs to be taken care. Both the for CRR, this is the prerequisite. Target and the source bucket should be in different region. There has to be a role which will enable you to replicate the source bucket. That is very much needed. And if you don't know how to create it, AWS will create for you and you can use it. It can be replicated to one destination bucket. Any kind of a hard delete will not be replicated. That means any deleted object will not be replicated. Delete marker can be copied. Yeah, it can be copied, but there is an option for it. Any activity which with the lifecycle cannot be copied. So that means you have to go and create the lifecycle rules in the other. Permission cannot be copied. The metadata of your object can be replicated, but no tagging option can be replicated. So these are the various things you need to remember. So let us go and look at the cross-region replication. How do you do that? Go to your bucket and you can do go to the management, and here you can set up the replication rule. Now, one thing, we will use another bucket as a destination, but we are going to do a same region replication. So let us go and create another bucket, which will be our replica bucket. I go and create new bucket, give the name, and I will say replica. Yeah, and I'm going to create in the same. No need to change anything, simply create the bucket. Once you create the bucket, go to your source bucket and then go to the management and create the replication rule. Here, I will just give my dr replica and I will enable it. And this is the source bucket, and I can apply to a certain prefixes, or I can apply it to the complete bucket. I will do it for the complete bucket. Then I can choose the bucket in my account, in other account, or I can choose or any other destination as well. So in my account, I will just go and browse it and look at the bucket name. If you don't see that bucket name here, just go and refresh it if you're not able to find it. Choose path. That's it. Now, yes. So it says replication needs versioning. Yeah, this is very, very important. You have to have versioning enabled on the source as well as the destination. Now this is going to give you, yeah, option to enable it from here as well. Because we did not enable it, let us go and enable it. So it has simply enabled the versioning on this bucket as well. Then I told you we need to have a role. So I can choose from the existing role if I do have here, but this is how the role is created. Yeah, S3 CRR role for this. This is how it is mentioned here. Now I'm going to create a new role and I have to select this and that's it. Now I can also encrypt the data when I'm doing the replication, but I'm not going to do it for the simplicity. Then I can also have some features like a SLA for replicating my data within 15 minutes. Yeah, 99% SLA of replicating the data within 15 minutes. I can replicate the delete markup by using this option, and so on. Now, one more important thing, earlier what used to happen is whenever you enable the replication rule, any object which is uploaded in your S3 bucket was not replicated. I repeat, any object which is added to your source bucket before the replication rule is enabled, those object will not be replicated. You have to upload a new object, then only it will be replicated. But now that behavior has been changed. Hmm? So now what you can see here, once I do this, it will prompt me, do you want to replicate the existing uh, object as well? So let us do this. So I will re-verify, revisit is enabled, the source bucket, the destination bucket, the role, and so on, and save it. And if once I do that, it will ask me, yeah, replicate existing object. If I say no, do not replicate, it will not replicate my existing. If I say yes, replicate, then it is going to create a bad job to copy all the objects into my the destination bucket. Okay, so this is, I am not going to do it. Yeah, and just submit it. So basically, this is how I can create the replication rule. So create a source bucket, create a destination bucket, enable versioning on both, go to your management section, create a replica rule, select source bucket, select destination bucket, select the role. Yeah, if you don't have a role, just select the option of create new role, and that is going to help you to create the role. No other option needs to be selected, and that's it. So here is my, yeah, replication rule which is done. Hmm? Okay, now let me just go here into my replica bucket. Here it is. This is my replica bucket, and where is my source? This is my source bucket. Now let us go and upload some object, because it will not work unless and until I add a objects here. So I am going to upload add files, and I will upload file one, Daisy, and something Jasmine. Okay, open it. So I am uploading 3 files here, and I will say upload in my source bucket. When you are doing this replication, the role is, you don't have to create a role. It will be created for you by the AWS. You have to just go and select create S3 role. Okay, so here it is. Now I have uploaded the files into my source bucket. Let us go to the destination bucket. Just a minute. Here is my open in the new window, and I will go to my destination or the replica bucket. Here is my replica bucket, and you can see immediately my file is uploaded. So one file is already replicated. How do you ascertain whether this file is replicated or not? You can see the name of this file is Jasmine. If I go and select this file, and if you go and see the management configuration here, it will say replication status as completed. And if you see the same thing for the object which is there in the destination bucket, you will see the replica station as replica. So this is how you can ascertain whether this is done or not. If I go here and look at the other things, yes, the file one is also replicated now. Yeah, you can see it is as a replica, and that's it. So this is how you are going to do. So that's it. So what I will do is I will take queries for 5 minutes, and then we will continue. So I'm open for the queries. You can send the questions in the chat and I will take that. Okay. Okay, can you repeat the replication again? So I have just explained you, Ravi, and to Prashant. Prashant, role creation we have already seen in yesterday's class. Please go and check that. It is very very simple. You go to your IAM section, create role, create the service, and the whatever the service for which you want to create the role, which is the S3 in this case. If I want to show you that role, what we have created today, you will see there. Sorry, and this. I have to go and check for this role in my IAM. How can we host a website on S3 bucket? Hold on for that, Imran. We will see that in a next section. Can you give some example of object, sir? Object can be anything, a file, audio file, a video file, anything. Hmm? So I can just go and search for the CRR. Can you see here? This is the role which is created. So AWS has named it something like this: S3 CRR underscore role for this. And if you go into this role, yeah, you will see that what is the permission it is having. You can see. So it is giving you permission to list bucket, yeah, get bucket, and then what are the resources on source as well as the destination. What you can action do, you can replicate object, delete object, and replicate tag, and so on. And what are the other resources? Yeah, so here it is. Anything. So this is how. There is nothing. There's only one type of bucket, Imran. Sir, will replication process would lead to duplication of memory space? Absolutely, yes. You are saving the same thing in two buckets. That is going to uh, um, increase the cost of your SD storage. How exactly replication is useful? When you want to replicate the data from one region to another region, maybe because you are hosting your application into a region and you need the same set of data, and then you don't want to have that particular kind of lag when your application is trying to access that S3 data. So in that case, you can do that. Other use cases, you can store all your let's say cloud formation template or any kind of a configuration maybe in S3, and then this can be available in another destination region, and so on. This will come into picture if your region is having any problem. Yeah, if your region is not reachable, it is down or anything, then you can have that data available outside of the region, and then it will be helpful for you. Yeah. uh, how many type of nothing, there's one type of bucket and only. Can you give some example? I have already given Chaitanya. Uh, Anybody else? Hmm? Anybody else? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Then I will move ahead. How many types of storage class? We have just seen we have 8 storage class, Imran. Only one type of bucket, only S3. Bucket, don't call it a type of bucket. Bucket is just one. Yeah. And it is called as the service is called S3. Bucket is only one. That's it. There is no type in it. Hmm. Fine. Let us go and move to the next section. So this is what we have seen for the CRR. Now we are going to see another feature of S3 bucket, which is called as static website hosting. Now, what is this static website hosting? You can use your S3 bucket as a website for you. You can host any kind of a static content on your bucket. A static website is what? It contains pages with static content, and it uses something called as client side script, CSS script. What are the CSS script? HTML is one of the CSS script. JavaScript is one of the CSS script, and so on. This will not be able to host any kind of a dynamic content. Dynamic content will be used by your other tools like PHP, ASP.NET, and so on. For that, you will need a server to host that website. Okay. But for static website hosting, you will use the CSS or client side script, and you can use your S3 bucket to do that. So we are going to see the simple storage. You are going to see the static website hosting, and it will be very, very intuitive, and you can do a hosting of your website within 5 minutes. Let us go and see that how we can do that. So here is my S3 bucket. Here is my yeah. I'm into my S3, and I'm going to create a new bucket which is going to host my website. Hmm? So I'm going to create one website which I have from freely available CSS template on the internet. I will use that, and I will show you to host a complete website onto it. So let us go and create. Yeah. So name of that is ExcelR Yoga bucket web site. This is what the name I'm going to give it. Yeah, this is my website name. And I'm going to host it in the North Virginia, or this is the bucket name. And that's it. I am going to enable the bucket. For hosting a bucket, you need to make this bucket publicly available. How it is? You need to at least give a read-only access to your S3 bucket. So for that, I'm going to enable the public access right away, and I'm going to acknowledge it, and that's it. Create bucket. So my another bucket is done. Where is my bucket? I am not able to see the bucket here. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So once you do this, you have to set up your S3 bucket. Now to set up a bucket, to set up a static website hosting, you need at least two landing page for your website. One is the index.html page, and the other one is the error.html page. So we can do that by using the permissions. So we have to go to the properties here. Yeah, you have to go to the properties, and you can see in the last section there is a static website hosting. Go and enable it. Okay, so I'm going to enable it. So there are two types of hosting. I can host a static website or redirect an object request for an object to another domain. So I have to specify a domain here, which will be able to redirect a request. But I am going to host a static website. I told you two pages need to be done. So I'm going to give index.html as one page, and I'm going to give error.html page. Now these are very, very important to be given. Done. This is the only thing I need to do right now to make my website up and running. Save it. These two documents I need to upload here in my bucket. First of all, I will just upload two, what you can say, let me do one thing. Let me upload a complete website, and you will see how the website will look like. So I will upload a doc here files. I can do a drag and drop because it is not going to take the folder. So I'm doing a drag and drop, and these are all the files I have. And I will also add another file, which is maybe error.html. Just a minute. Here can be error.html. Yes, it is. Okay. And that's it. So my files are uploaded into my S3 bucket. Let it upload. Yeah. And we will now see that. Now this, whatever the bucket, S3 bucket, which we have created, it is going to be available for everybody. But before we do that, we also need to give the bucket policy for it. Yeah. So you need to enable access for everybody to read it. The same policy which we have seen yesterday, read only access. Yeah. Let us see whether the policy generator is working today or not, because it was having some issues yesterday and it was not allowing us to create a policy. Let us go and try to create a policy for it. Principal star and S3 service. And I'm going to look at the action, which is get object. By doing a get object, it will be, I will be, or anybody will be able to read the object in my S3 bucket. and I will simply go and just create it. Yes, I have to give the ARN. Let me go and look for the ARN of my bucket. Here is my bucket. Here is my bucket. And where is the bucket? Uh, Very strange. The bucket name does not appear here. Yeah, here it is again. And I will go to the properties here and I will copy the ARN of my bucket. And I go into my policy. Here it is. Paste it, / and star. Still it is not working. Okay, there's some problem with this website. Hmm. So we will again use the same thing. Yesterday we have copied a bucket policy and we will just yes, where is the bucket policy for public access? Yes, let us go and look at uh, granting. Yes, this is the, I will copy it, paste it in a chat in a notepad and edit it. Here is my notepad, paste it here. And all I have to do, okay, I can get the version as well, not needed. I have to simply replace this by the ARN, which I have just given here in my policy. Let me just go take it from here only. And here is my the ARN for my bucket. Put it here and that's it. After that / that's it. This is my bucket policy created. Let us go to that. Okay, so files are uploaded, close it. And I go to the permissions here and edit bucket policy, put this policy to make it read only. And that's it. Save it. There's a error. This error, there is a error in terms of copying the I could seek. There is the policy must have version with the first byte must be this, which I already have it. Why it is giving a error? Okay. So let me do one thing. I will just simply remove this. And because this is going to delete it and that's it. And is giving an error, extra syntax. Yes, because of this. And I don't want this here. Delete. Yes, should be okay now. Yes, this should be okay. Let us save it. Gives error. We look at the error, line number, column 10. Okay, let us go and not to waste time in this. I will simply look at a policy, other policy, or maybe I can use another policy from my here. I can create a policy here, create a policy. Yeah, I will say S3 here. Yeah, and action. I just want to read, and in the read, I can just get object, get object, get object, get object. Where is get object? Yes, and that's it. Then I want to onto a specific. Yeah, I will add a ARN. Any, not any object name in this. Let me list the ARN here, which I have already pasted from there. No, it is not the one. Here it is on my, here it is, the ARN I am saying, and put this. Okay, fine. Add it and next and review my policy. That's it, and create a policy. And going to create my policy, can just go and copy this from here and paste it there. Yeah, S3 get object. That's it. Simple. Okay, I don't want to actually waste the time in just what you can say. This is my website. Yes. Permission here and edit bucket policy. Put it here. That's it. Save it. What is happening? It is already there. This is also there. This is also there. Why it is giving an error? Let me do a statement. Choose an action. Let us remove this. Add a statement. I will say S3, S3 and action. What is the action? I want to let us, I don't want to do that. Allow. No, this is not, I will remove it. I don't know what is happening there, but yeah. Maybe this is, here it is for this and this. It should work actually. This should not give any issues. Edit policy, is there any error in this? Here it is not giving any error, and why it is giving their error? It's very strange actually. Okay, and here is my policy. Just simply remove this and remove this and remove this, remove this. This is how you actually you can face this kind of issues with the formatting actually. So let me just try to format it. This is very, very simple stuff, but at times it can get really messy. No, it is not because of the date. Date is the same. This is not going to change anywhere. Yeah, that is the current and the latest and the greatest version of your S3 bucket. Error. It is giving an error here in this. Unsupported identity principle. What is the principle here? Star is the principle. This doesn't matter. Okay, very, very strange. Cancel, remove it. What's happening? It is cancel. Let me cancel it. It's not. Just a minute. It is not responding. Hold on for a minute. See, generator is also behaving very weird. Should not happen actually. Hold on. So I think let us do one thing. Let us park this and we will come back to this maybe later on, and not to waste on this. I will show this in a later yeah section. Yeah. So this is what actually this is principle. This is the same thing actually. Very, very simple. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So it is not taking the policy at this moment. It is accurate. It should not create any issues. We have right syntax here. This is also there. This is also there. For this, it is showing this, or it is showing this. I can just go and look for online. Online JSON formatter. Let us look at and paste it here and validate. It has just validated. Let us see whether this works. Valid JSON. Yes, it is saying valid JSON, and very strange. That's why I was saying that it is why it is not cancel. I will close this and open again because it is not working here in this window. I go to my S3 bucket again. I have deleted that space. Ravi, it is not showing. Saying page is slowing down. Something is happening with my laptop here. Open a new tab. Yes, let us close it. Go to the permissions, bucket policy, edit here, paste it here, save it here, and that's it. Okay. I refresh. Let me see that again, whether it is, yeah, added there. Whatever we did was actually was showing correctly, but I'm not sure what is happening when we pasted it there. So now you can see my bucket is showing as public. Now, how do I access my static website? How do I access? I just go to my properties and look for the URL of my website. This is the URL. You as a user can also be able to access it. So I'm pasting it in the chat here. Go on to this and paste it here and enter. So you will see some complete website here. This I have taken from a freely available CSS template. You can see a complete viewable website is available for you. And we have did it in 5 minutes, not more than that, maybe 10 minutes because of the policy. But you can see that everything is available immediately. So this is how your static website hosting can be done on your S3 bucket and within very short span of time. So what I will do, I will take a pause for the question, and then I will take your question for 5 minutes, and then we'll move to another topic because we have almost reached to the end of our S3. Yeah. So I am open for the question answers. Anybody has any questions? Yes, very good. Yes, Imran, we don't need a server for hosting a website. If you are having a static website, you don't need a server for it. We don't create ARN, Prashanta. We don't create ARN. It is generated by all the objects or all the resources in the AWS environment. Every resource will have a ARN, which is this. And the format is something like this. ARN colon AWS colon the service, the name of that particular. Sir, is this programming is compulsory? Don't worry, this is not a programming. Okay. So you can see there are so many things you can do. And this policy generator is somehow not working. It is creating errors, issues. As soon as I put this, it should add this tab. Okay, add statement tab. Okay, so it should work properly. Otherwise, you have the other option which I have just shown you by creating a policy like this. This should also work, and it gave some errors here, but then it should, when I created it was working properly. Can we host multiple static website in a single bucket? No, you cannot. Can we access your ACL instead of bucket policies? See, we can use that. Okay, we can use that. Yeah, but ACL has very limited. Either you can say read only, or you can say write only, delete or list. So it is not recommended to use ACL for it. Okay, fine. This is clear. Okay. So Priyanka, you can get in touch with the ExcelR team and they will be helping you in that. Okay. So that's it for the S3 bucket. So S3 service, and we are is the all activities in website is added to the server. I did not get your question, Varshishta. Okay, I don't. Yeah. Okay, if we don't have any further questions, then we'll move to the next section, which is the EC2. So Imran, look at the things. Okay, something is called as a static website, something is called as a dynamic website. When I say static website, you can do it on the S3 bucket, and you use multiple buckets for it. when I want to host a dynamic website, the website, this static website also have different pages. For example, you can see here, if I go to my website here, remember we have added a error.html as well. If I do a / error.html here, you will see the error page for my website. Correct? 404. You must have gone wrong. The page does not exist. But and this is how, if the page is not there in your website, you will not be able to see it. And as a best practice, you should always give a error. Suppose I just have to type in something else, maybe a contact.html, which is not there in my website. Yeah. Okay. So contact is there. That's the reason I am able to get the contact page in this. Can you see here? The contact page is there in this website. Suppose I have like see a option of trainer.html. Yeah. So because it is not there, my this website has handled the error and it is diverting to me to a error page. This is how you handle the error. And so if you want to see say Imran, that like this you need to see multiple pages, this kind of pages is available. But if you say the domain, this is the domain of your website, if you want on multiple domains to be hosted on one website, that is not possible. Huh? For dynamic website, we need server. Yes, correct, Chandra. How many buckets we can create in a single root account? There is a limit. If you go on to this AWS S3 limits, you will get the every details about it. Go on to this. Whether it's the root, whether it's the IAM, there will be a limit. Means that is not specific to the type of user you have. Okay, it is going to be applied off your AWS account. Come on, let us taking little more time. Sorry. Yeah, I could see two more. How do I, if I'm having a domain name purchased? Very good. So if you have a domain name purchase, you need to use this along with a CloudFront. Yeah, you can use your domain and use a CloudFront, which will help you to map this domain name, which is one we have used just now. This yeah, and it can be mapped to your domain. So there is a complete procedure for it. There's a documentation for it. You can do that. Okay, Bilal, that is possible. Why it is not opening? AWS 3 limitation. It's taking so much time. Hosting, yes, or hosting can also be purchased. You can do the hosting of your domain in AWS as well. There is a service called Route 53, which will help you. I will paste the link of the limitations. Yeah, give me some time. Okay, so that's it. We'll move to the next section, which is your EC2. Okay, so this is very another very heavily used, very what you can say, very vast topic. We will try to cover here. So EC2, what is that? Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 service is a service which is going to give you a compute or a server or a virtual machine in your AWS cloud. It provides you a highly available, highly scalable computing capacity in your AWS environment. When you want to use a EC2, you can run a Linux machine, you can run a Windows machine, and you can also run a Mac OS on your AWS environment. You can have different types of architecture for your machines. Like you can have an Intel based architecture, you can have an AMD based architecture, and so on. When I go for a EC2, all the EC2 machines will be virtualized. They will be virtualized environment, which will be using some kind of a hypervisor, which is provided by your AWS. So there will be a very big server, and yeah, And top of that, you will have a hypervisor, which is nothing but an orchestration layer for your virtual machine, which will control what amount of resources to be given to a particular virtual machine and so on. That can be done. Yeah. And you can use the virtual machines on the AWS. Along with the virtual machine, there is also provision to have a bare metal server. Now, bare metal server means a physical dedicated server for you. That is also an option which is provided by your AWS. Hmm? Then whatever the hard disk needed for your EC2 machines, that is also available for you. The networking needed for your EC2 instance, that is also added to it. Now, whenever you want to start building your EC2 instance, that is called as instance. Yeah, people will call as virtual machine. People will call it an EC2 instance. So, whenever you want to start with your EC2 instance, you need to start with something called as AMI. Okay, that is called as Amazon Machine Image. It's a kind of a image which will help you to create a EC2 machine. Now, whenever you want to use a EC2 machine, there are different types of EC2 machine. Hmm? Yeah. So we will see those things. Every EC2 machine will differ in terms of the CPU, memory, storage, networking capacity, and so on. So there are different types of EC2 instance, and we will see those different type of EC2 instance. I go on to the next. Yeah, just a minute. Not on this. I will open another link for us, and we will see that link of the type of EC2 instance. Here is the type of EC2 instance, or simply here. Yeah. So whenever I want to use any kind of a virtual machine on AWS, I need to go and choose from different variety of EC2 instance. Hmm? So the EC2 instance are categorized into all this type: general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing, storage optimized, and so on. And the names of this is denoted by something like this: T3.nano. How do you do that? Yeah, so let me just take you example. Yeah, so it is AWS EC2 type. Yeah, and I will look for the image for it so that I can show you a kind of an image. What is, yeah, here it is. So this is how you will look at, okay, a EC2 instance size. Now, the first letter in your EC2 instance type will be the instance family. So based upon this instance, yeah, the compute, the general purpose, memory optimized, you will have a instance family. This is, let me just copy this from here, copy image and open it in a paint. Don't save. Yeah, here you can see. Yeah, so you can see this is your instance family. Yeah, so this is your instance family. After that, you will have instance generation. This is nothing but the latest generation, or so it will denote the generation. 5 is the latest, 6, 7. You will have just such kind of a generation. Hmm? Then the next letter will be some kind of a additional capacity, whether it's a AMD processor, whether it's a Intel processor, or it is Graviton based processor. There is another processor which is called Graviton, which is developed by AWS. You can see that additional detail in this letter. Then after the dot, this is the dot here. After the dot, you will have the instance size. Yeah, the instance size is denoted by something like large, medium, small, nano, and so on. If I go here into my this, where is my instance size? Here it is. You can see it is showing T3 nano, T3 micro, and so on. So there are like this, there are different types of. So if I go to T3A, which is this one, this is based upon the AMD processor. And if I go to, let's say this MG6, it is based upon the ARM based Graviton processor. This is going to be based upon this. So like this. So now the general purpose family will start with the letter T or M actually. So these are all the the part of the general purpose. What is the use of this general purpose? Sorry. This is going to provide you a balance of compute, memory, and networking resources within your that particular virtual machine. And this is ideally suited for any kind of a dev test environment, testing purpose, and so on. As a part of your AWS free tier account, you are entitled for a T3 micro or T2 micro EC2 instance free of cost. Now, whenever you look at this instance, there is something called a CPU, virtual CPU, and the RAM. Now, what is this virtual CPU? When you look at your laptop can be a dual core processor or dual CPU kind of a laptop. That CPU in terms of a virtualized environment has a ratio of 1:2. That means if you have a CPU for your laptop as one CPU, then on the cloud, it becomes two virtual CPU. So this is the industry standard thumb rule, which will be used. So 1:2 is the ratio for any physical CPU. It is going to have two virtual CPU in the cloud. That is the virtual CPU for you. This can be done by using something called as hyper threading. So you can look for that option, hyper threading. So here it is 2 vCPU, and then you are going to have a RAM associated with it. So this is how general purpose look like. Now there is one specialty with this T family. The T family EC2 instance are called as burstable instance. What is this burstable instance? Burstable instance are nothing but, so you can see here it is having only 2 vCPU. But if your workload needs 10 vCPU, what will happen? This machine might not work. But because your T family is a burstable CPU, it can burst to a certain amount of time. So from 2 virtual CPU, it can go to 20 virtual CPU, 30 virtual CPU, and so on. So there is a limit to it, how much bursting it can do. But this T3 family or T family has the bursting capability. And how do you get this capability? This whatever the virtual CPU, they are added per hour if you are not using those CPU credits. If you are not using, if you have a 2 virtual CPU and you are not using the virtual CPU, every hour it is going to be added and there will be upper limit for it. And you can exhaust that particular complete CPU credit and then come back to your normal CPU. So that is possible with your general purpose. Then we have compute optimize. Now compute optimize, they are ideal for any kind of a compute bound application that will be benefited from a high performance processor. So the compute family is denoted by letter C, and you can see the C7G is the latest family here. This is Graviton based, but if you look at the C5, which is the Intel based, and this is the latest one. AWS recommend you to use the latest family of the EC2 instance because they give you more better performance as compared to the cost. If you look at C4 and C5, it is going to cost you less for using the C5 rather than the C4. And at the same time, you are also going to get a better performance from your EC2 instance. So these are the various things I want to tell you. I'm going to share this link for all of you so that you can go and look at the various EC2 instance type. Then we'll move to the memory optimize. Memory optimize is denoted by the letter R, and it is being designed for delivering fast performance for workload that needs large data set for in-memory processing. So memory requirement is more for this kind of a EC2 instance. You can see the ratio of vCPU to memory is almost 1:8. And if it is in the compute, it is 1:2. Yeah. So CPU to memory, it is 1:2, but in memory, it is 1:8. Yeah, 1:8. Then let us move to the next. Yeah. Then we have accelerated computing, or that is also called as GPU, graphic processing. In this family, they are going to use a graphic GPU, graphic processing unit, for processing any kind of a what you can say, graphic processing, any kind of a floating point number calculation, any data pattern matching, and so on. When you need more kind of a graphic processing, then you can go for a accelerated computing, which is denoted by P, G letter. Then we have storage optimized, which is denoted by letter I. This is most suitable for for the workload that require very high sequential read write access to your data. Hmm. They are optimized for very low latency and very high IOPS, which is input output operation per seconds. And this is going to give you the measure of, sorry for this, just a minute, what happened. Hmm. Okay, yeah. So this is going to give you very high IOPS, which is nothing but the measure of how fast your the storage services. Hmm. So this is your, and for more features, you can just go and look at various other options as well. So this is the instance type for you. Let's go next. Yeah. And so whenever you want to use a EC2 instance, you also need to add some kind of a storage to it. Yes, the storage can be added to your compute, yeah, by using something called as EBS volume. Hmm? EBS volumes are nothing but a persistent data storage or a permanent data storage volumes which can be attached to your EC2 instance. Hmm? Uh, so just look at this EBS volume as a C drive for your compute, wherein you install your all the operating system on top of it. Hmm? So we will see the storage volume as well. Then you also need to use the security group, which is nothing but a firewall for your EC2 instance, which will help you to secure your access to the EC2 machine. We'll see that later on. Huh? So we have covered this. There are so many types of EC2 instance, almost more than 200 types of EC2 instance, and which are available for you to work. Then we will look at one of the very key aspect of our EC2 instance, which is the purchasing option. Yeah, what we will do, we will not do the practical today for the EC2 instance because it is going to take more time and we have very limited time. Just a minute, my laptop is not behaving properly. I just want to share and unshare. Stop share. Yeah, I have because okay, I am going to share it again. Give me a minute. On. Yes. Okay. Let me share my screen. Share it. And yes, I hope you are able to see now. Here is, yeah, this is what we are talking about. And I will just push that. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So now let us go and look at the various purchasing option we have with our AWS EC2 instance. Hmm? So now why this is very important. Yeah. Whenever you want to use your virtual machine on AWS cloud, it is actually available for you on demand. Yeah, you go there, you start using it, pay for the usage, shut down it, terminate it, and that's it. Nobody will be able to question you why you have used the machine for 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, or so on. So this kind of a option to use your EC2 for on-demand purpose, it is called as on-demand purchasing. So let me show you one example. Yeah, new. Yeah, here is my. So that is on demand for you. So whenever you go and just purchase and start using it, that is on demand. Let's say this is your data center. This is your data center. My screen is again gone. Can you confirm whether you are able to see my screen or not? Anybody, please? It's visible. Okay. What's happening? Yes, it's not coming up. And let me start it again. So let me just do one thing. Yeah. Share application. Just a minute. Okay. Let me share just application so that I can utilize that time. Yeah. So I was just, yeah, here it is. I hope you are able to see the screen now. Yeah. Yes, very good. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I was talking about the on demand, and let me just show you some of the capabilities I was talking about the on demand. Suppose you have, yeah, you have thousands machines in a particular AZ, yeah, 1,000 machines, huh? And if you are going to use out of this 1,000 machines, you are going to use, let's say, 500 for on demand. Now we still have 500 machine available for us. Now this on demand, whatever EC2 instance, they are going to cost you $10, let's say $10 per, yeah, per month for that EC2 instance. So when you are using on demand, the costing for this on demand is very, very huge, or it is very on a higher side. But if you want to save on this cost, but at the same time, yeah, you have a requirement that you want to utilize your server for a longer period of time. For example, if you want to utilize your server for a 1 year period, minimum 1 year or 3 years period, then you can go for a reserved instance purchasing. What is this reserve instance purchasing? It is going to give you a discount of to 75% on your on-demand costing. That means if you are getting it $10, then you are going to get almost at $2.5. Yeah, $0.5. Correct? But the catch with reserve instance is that you have to give a commitment of at least 1 or 3 years. Yeah, you have to give a commitment of 1 to 3 years. Whether you use it, whether you don't use it, still you have to pay for the charges for 1 or 3 years. This is the reserve instance for you. But there is a there's a commitment from you to use that particular machine. Now, so for example, we have just seen that 1,000 machines are there, and out of 1,000 machines, 500 are utilized here, and let's say 300 are utilized for the reserved. So we have 300 here. Now what is left? We are left with a 200 machines. Now this left machines are unused capacity. Unused. This is the unused capacity of your EC2 instance. And AWS is not getting any revenue from it. What AWS has done is they have brought an offer which says, go and use this machine as a spot instance. And I am going to give you 90% discount on the on-demand costing. That means we can get the machine at $1 only. Okay, so this is a very, very kind of a lucrative offer from AWS that, yeah, I am just paying 1/10 of whatever I was asked for an on-demand instance, and I can use it. But with spot instance, there is a catch. The spot instance are the EC2 instance which can be terminated, interrupted by AWS by giving you a notice of 2 minutes. So you will get a notice of 2 minutes, and then the machine will be taken away. Why it is taken away? Because there might be more capacity requirement in the reserved and on demand herein. So they will move the pool of this unused spot instance from this 200 to 100 and add more capacity here, yeah, in reserved or in on demand. Because of that, this spot instance will be taken away by giving a 2 minutes notice. And That's the reason you need to be very careful when you want to use a spot instance. So spot instance are ideally suited for workload which are suitable for any kind of a interruption. For example, if you are doing some kind of a log processing of your environment, then you can use a spot instance to do the log processing. Even if your log processing stops, there's no problem with it. Okay, so this is what. Whenever you want to buy a spot instance, you have to specify a maximum price for your spot instance. This maximum spot price should be higher than whatever the price you can see in the AWS spot instance pricing market. So every EC2 instance type is having a price in the spot market, and you have to bid for more than that. Then only you are going to get the EC2 machine, the spot instance, and then you can utilize. So this is the spot instance for you, and very, very flexible. I have seen people using the spot instance to run their complete environment. So that's about it for today. And from tomorrow, we will look at the practical of the EC2 instance. So I will stop sharing the screen and I will take your question for the next 5 minutes. Yeah, so, okay, let me see the questions. Can we schedule reserve instance? Yes, there is an option in reserve instance where you can schedule it and you will be charged for that. But again, there is a reservation for 1 to 3 years minimum. Spot instance are unused. This is, you can say, not unused, but this is the unutilized capacity of AWS. Yeah, this is for Chandra. Then spot instance are unused. Okay, spot instance buying project very high price. No, it is very, very cheaper. It is giving you 90% discount on the on demand. Yes, Sheikh, we will share this material. Don't worry. Can you please share this PPT? We'll do that. Anybody else? No? We'll wait for 1 minute, and then if nobody has any question, we will end the class for today. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I'm waiting for the question. Please utilize this time. We don't have an option, Priyanka, to unmute. If you have any concerns, please talk to the ExcelR team. Amar, Amar, Bharat, you can talk to them. Okay, thank you very much. Example for instance. Example for instance is, it is not normal. It is just a pricing mechanism. There's no difference between a normal EC2 instance and a spot instance. It's just about the pricing. Why it is EC2 instance? Why it is called as instance? So it is, why it is called as instance, because it is using one portion of some bigger part. So that is called as instance. That's why. There are 3 method of payment in yeah. So yes, Imran, there are different categories of reserve instance: standard, scheduled, and convertible reserve instance. Yeah. So if you need more details, I have shared you the link. Go on that and use it. When we can go for a spot instance, anything which can sustain a interruption, any workload which can sustain an interruption. I will give you more details on the spot tomorrow. There are mechanism you can use, continuous use your spot instance, and there will be no interruption for a certain period of time. I will tell you that. That is called a spot block. Yes, we are going to share that. Lecture miss, then ExcelR provide any source. There we are going to provide you sorry, recording of this. Okay, thank you, Chandra. Okay, thank you very much. That's it. We will end the class now, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.